Hey, good morning, everybody. Robert Phoenix hitting you up live from Fredericksburg, Texas. It is 9:13 in the morning. How is everyone today? It is a brisk 47 degrees out, and it looks like the kiddies are still not at school. I've got an elementary school across the street from where I live, and there are no cars there. So 2 days off. Not quite a snow day. I guess it's a hard rain day. You know, I never had the luxury of snow days or rain days. When I was a kid, what's up, Fup? What's up, Fup? When I was a kid, we had to go to school in the rain. We had to ride our bikes in the rain. We had to ride our bikes for 5 miles in the rain going to school. Now it's like, I guess, here in Texas, it's different. Judy just asked me, are we having flooding in the area? Yes, we are. There are people that have had to be airlifted out of certain parts of the outlying areas of Fredericksburg. There was a bridge that connects Kingsland to Llano being about 26 miles from here. Hey, what's going on, Stephen? And the bridge from Kingsland to Llano got wiped out. Now, the main Llano bridge connecting this side of the river to the other side of the river, that's still there. That bridge is still there. That might actually be a pretty good bridge. They have a walkover there. That might be an interesting walkover experience. But yeah, it's been pretty serious flooding. Pretty serious, I have to say. Not as serious as, for now, what happened in Wimberley, about 3 years ago? Man, the Wimberley flood, when was that? 2013 now. So more than that, it's 25 years ago. That flood in Wimberley was mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And what happened? Travis is at 80 feet today, Lake Travis at 80 feet. So they've got a whole kind of release system where the rivers go into Lake Travis, and then Lake Travis releases the river, the water downstream into Town Lake. It's kind of like this whole sort of tiered off system. And it has worked fairly well. And, we had an extremely dry summer here in this part of Texas, and we've really needed the rain. So we have the rain, and we have rain in abundance. And apparently it's going to continue to rain all the way up through Saturday with a slight adjustment in temperature going from the high 40s to right around the low 60s, which is probably good. We're going to get it around 66. Morning, Joe. What's happening? By the way, I've perfected, I can't go all the way like that. That'd be indicting. I've perfected my power coffee. I found the perfect blend today. Shall I give you my recipe for my power coffee? You can try it at home. I do recommend it if you do want to try it at home. So I use, of course, shade grown, sustainably sourced, fair trade coffee. I wouldn't do anything other. Okay. Now I'm adding beef protein collagen with cacao. It's a very good blend. I found it at HEB and I put that in there. Okay. Then I add goat butter. Then I add, of course, coconut for the MCT. And then I have this really interesting blend it's from somebody named Judy. Judy's blend, or I don't know. I got to find a replacement batch because I'm running out of it. And Judy's has turmeric and cinnamon and maca and all kinds of really good stuff. So I got a teaspoon of that. Sorghum and honey. No, sorghum and molasses together. You can buy it. It's my little sweetener. And then here's the kicker: pumpkin seeds. and I put it all in my Vitamix. And I crank that thing, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So it is super power coffee, and that's my morning fuel. Get me going in the day. So what's going on out there? How is everybody? We're going to be talking about what's going on with the old internets. Shit is happening. YouTube was down yesterday. Justice says went down earlier today. Yep, that's right. So I'm going to read you a little excerpt here from YouTube, from Zero Hedge, and it's about YouTube. And the article is from yesterday, and the headline is YouTube is down globally. Now I'm looking at a map, and I'm seeing the areas where YouTube is really getting sort of hit in terms of its downtime. Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland, that area, all through California, and then the Northeast. We're talking Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Connecticut, Delaware. You know, that's a really interesting map. Now, you know, there's some other areas like, you know, it's kind of light. It's kind of light in Texas a little bit, just light. You know, there's a light area. It's a little light in the sort of Virginia, North Carolina area. It's a little light there. It's a little light in Florida, little light patches here and there. But man, the heaviest concentration, it's the Northeast, right around the Great Lakes area. We're looking at probably, what is that? Ohio, parts of Michigan, Indiana, clearly Pennsylvania's in that mix coming from both directions. Likely Chicago. Yep. Wow, very interesting. So one could make a case that these areas are kind of liberal strongholds. I'm just saying. I mean, if you look at the map, go to Zero Hedge, look up YouTube down globally, you'll see what I'm talking about. The heavily concentrated areas of YouTube being down tends to be concentrated in blue states or blue areas, blue zones. Isn't that interesting? It's like, wow. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that other parts, there are people in Dallas, and I think it might have been Steve yesterday. Well, Steve lives in that North Carolina area. Oh, it looks like the kids are coming to school now. They've had a 2-hour delay. They've deemed that it's safe. They're wearing their galoshes. I remember when I was a kid. Here we go again. When I was a kid, everybody wore the same damn raincoat. We didn't have special damn raincoats with superheroes on them. We just had yellow raincoats. It's true, though. You know, every kid had their yellow rain jacket. If you're picking your kid up, how are you supposed to spot your kid? You got all these kids running out, and and remember the yellow rain hats? They flop down. It was like, oh man, I miss childhood sometimes. That shit was fun. There was a lot of fun in being a kid. I have to say. I used to have to walk through a field to get to my school, and there would be like those little yellow mustard plants, you know, the sour grass plants with the little yellow mustard flowers, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? So one day I was feeling very open-hearted, and I decided to pick a bunch to bring to my teacher, who I loved, my first grade teacher. So by the time I got there, all the flowers were totally wilted. I handed them to her. Oh, I love you. Here you go. So anyway, let's get back to this YouTube thing. There's really, really important stuff here. So the eastern part of Australia looks like it was pretty well impacted. You good folks in Great Britain and the UK, there's another area that seems to be pretty impacted. Japan, very impacted. I don't see a lot of yellow happening over there in China. I wonder why. Down Detector is the source of these images. I think fairly accurate. And then we have some sort of splotchy outage, mostly in the southeastern part of Brazil. And then New Zealand had some issues. But looks like India and China all clear. Interesting. But yeah, so let me read this. This outage comes just a day after most of the world's internet users lost access to YouTube for several hours Sunday after an attempt by Pakistan's government to block access domestically affected other countries. So it's the YouTube grid. Apparently, there's a bit more to this. I'm going to try to get into it a little bit here without going too far down the rabbit hole. As ABC News reports, an internet expert explains that Sunday's problems arose when a Pakistani telecommunications company accidentally identified itself to internet computers as the world's fastest route to YouTube. But instead of serving up videos of skateboarding dogs, it sent traffic into oblivion. Well, that might be the stated cause, right? The stated cause. On Friday, the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority ordered 70 internet service providers to block access to YouTube because of anti-Islamic movies on the video sharing site, which is owned by Google. Okay. So now, who knows what's going on here? I mean, we just don't know. I mean, yeah, it says Pakistan, but who knows? Maybe there's proxies inside of Pakistan. If they're able to reroute certain things. I mean, we just don't know, right? I mean, the Israelis are running the internet, so they could probably get the internet and YouTube to, do figure eights and somersaults and stop and start and, start playing reruns of The Price is Right if they wanted to. The authority did not specify what the offensive material was, but a PTA official said the ban concerned a trailer for an upcoming film by Dutch lawmaker Geert Wilders, who has said he plans to release a movie portraying Islam as fascist and prone to inciting violence against women and homosexuals. The block was intended to cover only Pakistan, but extended to about 2/3 of the global internet population, starting at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday, according to Renesas Corporation, a Manchester, New Hampshire firm that keeps track of the pathways of the internet for telecommunications companies and other clients. With nothing to watch, social media has erupted, demanding that it is fixed. And so you've got a bunch of people chiming in. Team YouTube says, thanks for your reports about YouTube, YouTube TV, and YouTube Music access issues. We're working on resolving this, and we'll let you know once fixed. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, and we'll keep you updated. You know who's loving this? Mainstream media. Hey, we're still on. We're still on. Maybe you should get cable again. Come on over. Check us out. Should be one of their kind of marketing ideas. Always on, 24/7, no outages, which is bullshit because I had major outages about 2 weeks ago with Comcast / now Spectrum. And that lasted almost a whole weekend. Like that weekend was it was impossible to do any kind of online work for me because of course I use the internet. Let's see what do we have here. What else? This is funny. This is so funny. This is great. This is a reply. Sometimes Twitter is genius. I do have to admit. So this is a reply to the YouTube. Thanks for your reports about YouTube, YouTube TV, and YouTube Music access issues. We're working on resolving this, and we'll let you know once fixed. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, and we'll keep you posted. And Koala replies, have you tried unplugging and plugging it back in? That is a total win. High five, Koala. That is hilarious. Have you tried unplugging and plugging it back in? Because, I mean, that is the standard reply. The standard reply. Have you tried unplugging it, plugging it back in? You call up your internet provider. Well, why don't you go to your router
and reboot your router. Unplug it for 20 seconds and plug it back in.
Right. Right. Let's see. Some people are really down about it. Really down. This person says these have been the worst 20 minutes of my life. Really? Oh my God. I didn't even know it was down. I didn't even know it was down. Here's some of the comments, snarky comments from Zero Hedge. Ha ha, their shit is turning on themselves. Just accept it. AI is logical and leans right. Well, if you look at the photo, it is the blue areas that are hit the most heavily. You know, I was listening to Preston James last night. I like Preston James. Gordon Duff kind of makes my skin crawl. Have you ever listened to Gordon Duff on any of his interviews? He's mostly on Jeff Rentz. The way that he talks, and you can tell he's doing some kind of like breathalyzer or something, because he'll go, you hear this when he talks. It's like, what are you vaping? Or are you vaping air? Is that what you're doing? Anyway, he'll go. There's just something about Gordon Duff's delivery. I can't even like. Let me see if I can imitate Gordon Duff. No, I can't even do it. It's so weird. His rhythm is really off and strange, and he kind of talks slow and he kind of meanders, but he has some interesting things to say. Preston James, however, is a bit more easy to follow. And Preston James is pretty out there. Not as out there as Preston Nichols, but he's pretty out there. And Preston James was talking about one of the things that the controllers are having an issue with, or get this, too much information. Too much information. They're having a challenge with crunching all the data that they're sucking in from everybody and all these different nodes. It's like they're drowning in data. They don't know. It's like the floodgates have opened and there's too much and they don't know what to do with it all. So they're just grabbing hunks and chunks of data and trying. It's like they've turned on, you know, at one point it was kind of like, you know, a river, a manageable river. Now it's like the frickin' Amazon, you know, rushing into the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, it's there. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. They can't handle it. That's what you get. There's some. Let's see. There's some other stuff here that is interesting. There. Okay. There's one comment here that I found salient. Saudi, Turkey, internet eruptions, midterms, CIA fingerprints everywhere, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing to see here, just move along. Something is going on. Something's going on. This guy says some interesting pieces. Internet very slow in and beyond DFW area. That's Stephen's domain. Crazy world events, midterms approaching, Q blackout. I have a very uncomfortable feeling that something major is brewing. Smelling CIA stench. My bank is not reachable online. Buckle up. Buckle up. Okay. So this one comment is, I think, the jumping off point. Now, I'm not here to bang the drum for the Q blackout. It's something that Q has been talking about, or whatever representative Q's been talking about for months now. Remember, we are coming up on the year anniversary of Q's birth. Q's got a birthday coming up. I believe it's what, the 25th of October, if I'm not mistaken. Is that when Q's birthday is? That'll be interesting. The 1 year anniversary of Q. Shall we get Q a birthday gift? We'll hold Q a little birthday party. Say happy birthday to Q. Maybe we'll do that. In any case, there is something going on. I went to my bank on Monday, and It's Wells Fargo. Their ATM was down. Oh well, we're just trying to make some improvements. You ever notice how unhelpful help is now? They're totally unhelpful. Oh well, I can't do anything about that. It's the system. The system won't allow me to make any changes. That's the new thing now. It's the system. It's always been the system, but now the system is embedded in the control grid. Oh, I can't, I don't have any variables inside of this program. I have a credit card with Wells Fargo. I don't have a bank account with them, and I wanted to cash a check. It's like, you're taking my money from your credit card. Why don't you just cash this check for me? Well, I'm sorry, you don't have an account with us. No, but I have a credit card with you. That does qualify as an account. I'm sorry, the system won't allow me to make any changes. The system. It's convenient. I'm sorry, sir. We can't do anything. It's the system. How many times have you heard that? It's the system. Let's just want to reach across the counter and start strengthening the person. Go, you're the fucking system! Don't you understand it? You little robot! Decorum, always decorum. Take the high road. Always the best path to take. Trust me on this. So we've got something brewing. Something is happening, boys and girls. We got websites being taken down, web pages or presence being taken down on Facebook, certain groups, certain Facebook pages that all lean to the right, they're being taken down. Twitter is just absolutely deleting, hacking, deleting, hacking, deleting, hacking, deleting, all in preparation for the midterms. I had this thought this morning. I'm wondering if we're even going to have midterms. I believe the answer is probably yes, but I think there are so many variables now that I would say that there's probably, and this is a pretty high percentage, I'd say there's probably about a 20 to 25% chance we don't have midterms because there is so much at stake and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? There could be moves and counter moves and moves and counter moves. One of the things that Preston James was talking about, which I've talked about before, is that Trump was brought on board by basically naval intelligence. Naval intelligence. If you look at the part of the Pentagon that was destroyed during 9/11, it was naval intelligence. That's the part that got hit by a missile. Let's be clear about this. Didn't get hit by a plane. Sorry. Most of you people already know that, though. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So Trump was brought on board by military intelligence, in parentheses, naval. Okay? So we probably have a series of checker moves or chess moves going on right now behind the scenes with things like the internet, not just the internet itself, but like hubs, data centers, packets being sent back and forth, all in anticipation of the midterms. And of course, we'll have voting. Most of the voting happens to be electronic in this country. And who knows what's going on behind the scenes. Okay. However, there does seem to be some action taking place. I think what we're seeing now is jockeying. They're jockeying for position. And you may say, well, it's only one kind of goal. There's only one goal, there's only one order. And I would say to some extent, that's probably true. However, if you go back, way back in the time machine, prehistorical, when I say prehistorical, I'm not talking about guys running around in bear skins. and clubs. I'm talking the mythical, magical land of Atlantis, which was at one point in time a pre-antediluvian civilization, which I firmly believe in. I have very strong memories of Atlantis. Believe it or not, yes. Does that qualify me as being mentally ill, by the way?
Well, on his broadcast, he said he had very strong memories of Atlantis. One might say that might qualify him as being slightly delusional.
You got to be careful about what we say now, because there are censors lurking everywhere. Taking notes. Oh, he believes in Atlantis. Is there a DSM for that? DSM code for that? Anyway, you go back, that far back, right? There were two control groups running the show. Two control groups. One control group says, let them live. We genetically engineered them. They seem to be pretty smart. They're quite clever. They can invent things. They show reasonable signs of rationality and logic. Yes, I know they have some uncontrollable desires at times, but consider where they came from. I think we did a great job. Let them live. The other control group says, clearly, they are not responsible. They are not ready to take on the huge responsibility of running this world. In which case, we really need to be in control for as long as it takes, because they have a lot of learning to do. And the other side says, lighten up. Come on. Give them a shot. You'll be surprised, pleasantly surprised. And every time something goes down, the other side says, see, we told you so. They can't even wipe their asses. And so we have these control groups that are really trying to kind of, free things up or lock things down, and free things up and lock things down. Who are they? The sons of Belial and the Law of One. That's who they are. They go all the way back to primordial mists of antediluvian time and space. That's who they are. And who are those guys? Well, if you believe in the creation story that we were genetically modified and tinkered with and all that stuff, you get into the Anunnaki realm. That's one version of it. Sure, why not? Another version of it is that there were other galactic beings that came here. Most notably the Orions and the Sirians. And those two groups happen to be the control groups. And they split off into the Sons of Belial and the Law of One. And eventually, those groups become the secret societies that are still in control of, to some degree, what goes on the planet. So yes, there is potentially one stated goal, which is to create a unified or reunified experience here on this earth. How that unified experience looks is going to be either one way or the other. Now, some may say the people that are in control, whoever they are, Rothschilds and above. Who was it? One of my peeps, Eileen. She told me that she passed on some information that it's the crypto terrestrials that are running everything. Those the guys that are down there, right? They're down there. Right over here, that guy. He's a crypto terrestrial, the big head. They're running everything. They're super, super, super smart. Could be. But I really think it comes down to these two factions. One says let them run it. The other says, hey, we're going to run it for them. So therefore, we have this clash of systems. One wants to be free. The other wants to enslave the ones that want to be free because it's for our own good. It's really for our own good. Okay. Let's get into, speaking of strange celestial phenomena, have you guys heard about this skull-shaped asteroid that's headed in our direction? How about that? On November 17th, asteroid 2015 to be 145 will be closest to Earth at a distance of 40 million kilometers, with 2 craters that give the asteroid the appearance of a skull. It has been dubbed the Halloween asteroid. While the creepy-looking asteroid has an ominous appearance, there's little threat of it colliding with us, according to the European Space Agency. Avid astronomers and lovers of all things spooky will be excited this year to hear that the return of asteroid 2015 TB145 is due just after Halloween. TB, isn't that Tom Brady? On November 7th, the asteroid will be closest to Earth at a distance of 40 million kilometers. Right, we got that. According to NASA, the Dead Comet was first discovered in Hawaii on the 31st of October, 2015. There's nothing particularly unusual about the asteroid, apart from its 2 surface craters that give it the appearance of a skull. Therefore, it has been officially named the Halloween asteroid. Though it passed Earth 3 years ago at a distance of about 500,000 kilometers, it isn't actually a danger to us. It isn't listed among the European Space Agency's list of potentially risky asteroids, so it's unlikely to collide with the Earth in the next 500 years. Due to its considerable distance from us, it can only be seen from Earth as a moving point in the sky. Sven Melcher, chairman of Germany's Amateur Astronomers Association, explained to the Welt that the skull-like appearance of the asteroid is only a result of reconstructed radar observations. Interesting. I mean, that's how far away it is. But could you imagine, like, the sinister faction, the dark faction of the powers that be, the skull, the asteroid skull coming on in, like, here it comes. It's a sign. It's a sign. Activate. Right? Theoretically, they're very big into symbols, apparently, right? So I can see that happening. Anyway, the Halloween asteroid coming to a sky not so near you in the not so distant future. What's happening out there in the world as well? Yeah, this is interesting now. Check this out. The Supreme Court agrees to hear a case that can determine whether Facebook, Twitter, and other social media companies can censor their users. Another little Preston James tidbit: the Supreme Court is illegal. It's an illegal court. Really, it's the district courts that have the highest rule in the land. That the Supreme Court is really a fiction. He did also point out something else that was interesting. And it's like, it's one of these things you just kind of take for granted, because you become so indoctrinated. Well, this is how things are, right? They all wear black robes. They all wear black robes. Black is the color of Saturn, right? They're the judges. They are draped in Saturn. They're robed in Saturn, clothed in Saturn, cloaked in Saturn. They are the Lodge of Saturn, sitting at the highest level, theoretically, of the court in this land. So the Saturn Lodge is going to hear a case that could determine whether users can challenge social media companies on free speech grounds. The case, Manhattan Community Access Corporation versus Halleck, number 17702, centers on whether a private operator of a public access television network is considered a state actor, which can be sued for First Amendment violations. The case could have broader implications for social media and other media outlets. In particular, broad ruling from the High Court could open the country's largest technology companies up to First Amendment lawsuits. So keep your eye on this. This will be interesting. Let me see when this is coming up here. Let's look at the docket. This is coming up in the Supreme Court docket. You can actually find out what the Club of Saturn the Lodge of Saturn will be voting on. The decision date is an interesting date. It's February 9th, 2018. So we're into Aquarius at that point. And rehearing denied March 23rd, 2018. So keep your eyes on that. Okay. There's a bunch of history here that goes along with it. History and also other parts that are connected to this, like the attorneys and for the petitioners and the respondents. We got Cozen, O'Connor, and Mayor Brown, Kirkland and Ellis, LLP, Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher, just in case any of those people mean anything to you. But keep your eye on it. It'll be interesting to see what happens. That's going to happen in February, and, far enough away from the midterms, of course. Now there seems to be some action on the annual caravan of immigrants coming up from Central America. So there's a guy by the name of, what's his name? Bartolo Fuentes. And he's an ex-legislator. And he's a guy that's been arranging these caravans of people to come up from Honduras and hit the border. He's detained. Somebody inside the government decided, we should probably put this guy on ice. Let's put him on ice. Let's put the Pied Piper on ice. And then Trump comes out and says to these countries in Central America that he talks tough sometimes. He doesn't always act tough. Hello, North Korea. But he basically says that he's going to hold back funds if they continue to march the immigrants north. So Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador have been put on notice, restrictions, sanctions. They might be a little more circumspect about supporting the march north towards the border. In a win for Trump, a judge has tossed out Stormy Daniels' defamation suit against him. It's a win. It's a small win, but it's a win nonetheless. I think the last thing we probably want to touch on is what's going on with this ambassador. The journalist, Khashoggi. 16 people in Kerch shooting remain in serious condition. So there's another shooting in the world. This is breaking news. Let me just jump in here and see what this is about, so you can have more information to ricochet between your ears. Okay, so this is in Russia. Oh, this is interesting. 19 people dead, up to 50 injured due to incident in Kerch, Russia. I wonder if the Russians staged their own false flags. Initially, the incident was thought to have been a gas explosion. However, subsequent reports from the college revealed it was an explosive device that caused the deaths of 18 people. We are clarifying the information at the moment. Preliminary figures are 50 injured and 10 dead. So they've had an explosion at a college in Russia. Kerch, Kerch, Kerch. Interesting stuff. Anyway, I just thought I'd tell you. Reason I found out, I'm on Sputnik.com or Sputnik News. And this is an interesting piece. While the investigation into the disappearance of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi continues, Saudi Arabia has been reproached by foreign officials and media pundits over the case. Former ambassador to Syria, Peter Ford, explained why Washington had joined the chorus of Riyadh's critics. This is what he has to say. I think there is a background here of friction in the U.S.-Saudi relationship in recent months. We've seen this as a propos of the American wish to get more Saudi funding for the American de facto occupation of northern Syria. The Saudis have been very reluctant to pay for the running of that 30% of Syria, which is effectively controlled by the Americans with their Kurdish proxy militia allies. He presumed that the second reason was the Saudis' willingness to pump more oil to compensate for the Iranian oil, which is going to disappear from the international market because of American sanctions. The diplomat continued that another major reason for tension, and thirdly, possibly, what the Americans would see as insufficient support for Jared Kushner's much touted peace in the Middle East plan. I'm telling you, Jared Kushner, secret agent 00666. I'm telling you, the Saudis would have been unwilling to go as far as the Americans wanted on forcing the Palestinians to make concessions. All these reasons together, I think, gave the Americans an incentive to let the dog off the leash, he summarized. Ford opined that the disappearance of the journalist put everybody involved under lots of pressure, not the least the United States. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because the guy worked for the Washington Post. And he's lived in self-imposed exile in the U.S. since 2017. So he's been here for a year now. And he is related to Adnan Khashoggi. Adnan Khashoggi, I believe, being one of the people who funded or majorly funded Alex Jones. Speaking to Bloomberg on October 5th, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman addressed the issue, highlighting that Riyadh had started a dialogue with Ankara on the issue. At the time, rumors emerged that the journalist could be held in the building. Well, apparently, this is what I've heard. This is what I've heard. You may want to do this. That Khashoggi was hacked up alive. Okay? These people, I mean, sending a clear message. A clear message. Alive. Apparently, it took him 7 minutes. That's some serious butchering. Some very sharp steel. And then proceeded to whatever body parts they didn't keep as proof of life or lack thereof, proceeded to drop them in a vat of acid. This is what I've heard. Okay. It's kind of a big deal in some ways. At least, I mean, it shows the barbarity of what we're dealing with here. I mean, that's like barbarity. The whole thing with the Saudis, look, I'm kind of an isolationist guy. Like, I would really, really love for the United States to pull out of the UN. I'd like them to stop, circle jerking with the Saudis and the Israelis and just kind of pull out of that stuff. Let's get out. Got a great country here. And I'm sure there are other countries in the world that would love us to go in and desecrate, their cultures. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, look, I feel like we're really spread thin. And at some point, there's just got to be an energy revolution. There has to be. Maybe it's Uranus and Taurus. Maybe we'll see some of this with Uranus and Taurus. They're sitting on free energy or free energy converters. I mean, they've got stuff that you would just blow our minds. And they're just sitting on this stuff. And you know it. You know it, because if they broke it out, it would change the social economy. That's just the way it is. But in order to pull out of that area, you're going to have some backup plan to get resources, because that's just the way it is. I don't know. If it was me, I would ditch Israel. I'd ditch Saudi Arabia. I'd probably make allies out of the Iranians. I'd make allies with the Syrians and just about anybody else who could give us oil who wasn't completely deplorable. My 2 cents. But I'd probably ultimately would like to release the free energy stuff. Let's check in with everybody in the chat room. Let's see what we got going on in here. Let's see. Naval intelligence equals secret space program. Corey Good. I don't know about Corey Good. How about sanctions against Mexico? I've been on the record. I think Mexico is an enemy combatant. And I think Mexico should have sanctions. Mexico, come on. We're dealing with drug cartels, massive drug cartels, and really bringing in the the illicit drugs. I'm not talking about the legal opioids, which are readily accessible through drug dealers like Walgreens and CVS. No, I'm talking about the hardcore shit, the hardcore heroin, hardcore meth that is made right around the border. And well, the heroin comes from other places, but the meth is made near the border. That's coming up, billions of dollars a year. I mean, it's ruining lives in this country. It's ruining lives. And people will say, well, people need to have better self-control or have better, it's like, hey, man, you got to handle your heroin a little better than that. It's like, yeah, maybe there are people that have been lifelong junkies and some of whom have been quite creative. Edgar Allan Poe being one. I think Lou Reed eventually got off a smack. Pretty sure of it. But he was a functioning junkie. I mean, you can only be a functioning junkie for so long. Eventually, it's going to take its toll. So yeah, Mexico would be an enemy combatant, and I've talked about this for a while now. Just sanction them off, and it's quite easy for the U.S. to go in and fuck up other countries, right? But not so easy for us to go up and fuck up Mexico. We could go in and take out Noriega because Noriega wanted more money from the Bush administration for all the coke that was coming through Panama. That was real simple, wasn't it? Just go in and invade Panama, take him out. No, the war in drugs is all on the U.S. No war, no drug lords. No war, no drug lords. I don't know. I mean, I think that, there's a lot of, I'd have to understand that argument. The war, it's not the war on, I would go, I mean, the drug lords, look, the drug lords have deals with people in this country, obviously. There's a guy who owns a massive hedge fund, who owns a major fast food chain, who has one of the worst diets on the planet. It's purported that guy is one of the major drug kings on the planet, and the cartels don't do any business in this country without him. You know who I'm talking about. But still, Mexico, I think they're an enemy combatant. Sorry. Not everybody. The people of Mexico are fine. Good people. Love people from Mexico. Really good people. Some of the best people I've met are from Mexico. Period. End of story. Soulful, dedicated, hardworking, right? Who am I talking about? Who am I talking about? You people should be smarter than this, okay? Who has a giant, enormous hedge fund in this country? The biggest hedge fund in this country. Who has a fast food chain? Okay, who? Fill it in. Come on. You're smarter than this. No, not Ronald McDonald. No, not Wendy. No, not the Burger King. Keep going. Sounds like king. Well, actually, it's royalty. There's a queen involved. Right? There you go. Thank you, Anna. Anna gets the gold star for today. Gold star for today. Thank you. It's got to be careful sometimes when you make assertions. This is what I've heard. Let me give you an update on the anti-fluoride campaign, what we're running here in Fredericksburg. We had our first volunteer meeting last night. We had 12 people show up. Now, you have to understand that the weather here has been just absolute crap. People have been flooded out. So on a Tuesday night, we had people show up, 12 people show up under extreme conditions because they're dedicated and they want to get the fluoride out of this water. We had Sam Bannon and I believe Michael Muth, Sam from San Marcos, who led the charge to get the fluoride out of the water in San Marcos. Michael, who helped get the water out of Buda. Hold on 1 second. Yes. They were there. They were at the meeting. They're at the meetings. They showed up. I mean, it was a big commitment for those guys to come along and pass along their stories. So, I'll keep you posted when we have updates. We're going to start a GoFundMe very soon because we're going to need to be able to run this little campaign here. And again, hopefully, if we can make this happen, we will have tools that we'll be able to pass along. And if you're in a community that is manageable, has a manageable size, you might be able to do what we're doing here. They've been fighting with fluoride issues in Austin and in Dallas and in Houston. San Antonio goes back and forth. San Antonio, they have a vote almost every couple of years. For a long time, San Antonio was unfluoridated. And then they decided, well, it's all the poor kids coming from, South America, Central America, come here and they have such poor hygiene that we need the fluoride in the water for these kids. I swear to God, that was one of their arguments. Well, one of the things that kids get with fluoride is a thing called fluorosis, and their teeth get all green and streaky, and then the dentists come in and go, oh yeah, we can take care of that for you. You wonder why dentists are pro fluoride? It's probably because of the fluorosis. Anyway, I'll let you guys know what's happening. We had a great meeting, and it was really energetic and enthusiastic and very, very positive. We're hoping to move that energy forward and start our petition process this coming Monday. And anyway, I'll just keep you all posted. And any victory that we have, if we have one, will be yours because we'll be able to share the information moving forward so you can maybe do something about it. And hopefully, we can become more empowered on a local level and look at other issues like perhaps 5G. Wouldn't that be a game changer? We're starting with fluoride. We'll go from there. Wish us well. We're going to get a GoFundMe together pretty soon, pretty shortly. And I'll let everybody know. Okay. Everybody have a great day. It's always a great blessing to have you here. And it's wonderful to meet you all in the morning and connect. And I look forward to it every single day. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to step what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Oh, and by the way, you can still sign up for the webinar that Heather and I are doing on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, and 12 noon Pacific on Jupiter, the nodes, eclipses. Okay, there we go. BB signed up. Beautiful. Thank you, BB. It's going to be great. It's going to be totally great. You have so much information. Not so much that you won't be able to digest it, but this is going to be really good navigational tools for 2019. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the internet will be up. All right. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yes, there will be a recording of the webinar after. Absolutely. And video too. Video. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Video and audio. Okay. All right. See you.